All right, class, you've made it to chapter 5.5 of Algebra 1. We are still factoring. We have a couple more sections here. In this section, you are going to have to choose how to do your factoring. This is going to be a little bit different than some of our lectures. Now, I want you to take a look here. I have questions and I have the answers here, okay? Okay, so this is the next page where there are questions. The answers are all in blue. Stop and pause if you need to. All right, so there are some more. Again, stop and pause, write down the question or the answer. If you see the word prime, that means that you can't factor that one this way. Or I should say, if it says prime, you won't be able to factor in the way we've learned so far. There will be one other way. All right, and there are the rest of the answers. So, what I've decided to do for this section is pick out some problems that I think are a little bit more challenging. All of those problems I just showed you, most of them you should be able to do by some methods we've already gone through. Here's a problem though that's a little different, and again, I'm going to pick problems from this section I think are a little more tough, and I'm going to go through those to show you. This one is actually number 79 in all those problems I just showed you. The thing we have to notice in this problem is that I have something to the fourth power and something to the second power, but usually when we're doing these problems, I'm going to have something to the second power and something to the first power. So I'm going to do what's called a U substitution. We're going to be doing U substitutions in other ways in the future. Here I'm just going to say, hey, U is going to equal x squared. And what that allows me to do is rewrite the equation and look at it as the way we were looking at our other problems. Notice now, U is here, which is x squared. U squared would be x to the fourth. Now, I know I'm going to end up factoring into something like this as long as things work out nicely. So something times something has to give me a 9. When added together gives me a negative 10. And hopefully by now you should know quickly that the two numbers are going to be negative 9 and negative 1. And when I substitute my x squared back in for u, this is what I get. And here, let's take note that this is a difference of 2 squares on both sides. The 9 could be considered a 3 squared. The 1 could be considered a 1 squared. My x squared 9 becomes this. And here I have my final answer. All right, taking a look at, this is actually number 78. Taking a look here, I have to do some head work. I have to kind of recognize some stuff. I'm going to switch this around a little. First thing I want to do is factor out a negative sign. All right, and so here, this is what I want to end up with. That 60 is a little worrisome, but if I follow my rules, let's see what happens. Actually, even before I do that, I'm going to to make things look easier, I'm going to let u equal ab, which allows me to look at the problem like this. Okay, so something times something has to give me this, and something times something has to give me this, and when I add both together, I need to get this. Looking at my 60, trying to find multiples for that, the one that really only sticks out is 6 times a 10. Otherwise, it's going to be like a 2 times a 30. That's going to be too big. Maybe a 3 times a 20. That may work, but I'm going to start with a 6 times a 10. So here's my 10u and my 6u. Okay, so I have put my numbers in, and I've sat and thought about it. That's not going to work. Now, upon, thinking a little bit more, maybe 12 times 5, I notice there's a difference of 7. Maybe that one will work. And if I check, of course, to get a negative 1, haha, careful. To get a negative 1, I see negative 1 times 1. That will work for here. So, negative 1 times 5 is negative 5u. 12 times 1 is 12u. So, 12 take away 5. Yeah, that will give me 7u. And so here is my final answer. Okay, class, that is all the problems I'm going to do for you this chapter. I've given you a whole bunch of problems. If you want to go on your own, you have the answers. I highly recommend you take several of those problems, do the problems, get really good at this, and then we can move on. You can move on to the next section. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time.